Hey everybody, I'm Chris, Volkswagen and Porsche Master Technician and Swamp Cooler Guru. What if I told you that most of a specific product being sold on eBay was fake and non-functional? You probably want to know about it, right? Well, stay tuned. We're going to talk about swamp coolers and stay to the end to see the absolute worst example of a swamp cooler I've ever seen for sale online. Hey everybody, it's nice to see you. But today we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. Swamp coolers. That's right, eBay is full of swamp cooler scams. There's actually more fake swamp coolers than real ones. I think that's a problem. So today we're going to check them out. So as you know, I'm a little bit of a swamp cooler guru. And in my travels, I've come across a bunch of eBay scams. These are swamp coolers on eBay, claiming to be swamp coolers, being sold for more than the cost of a real functional vintage swamp cooler. I don't know why these exist, but they exist and they're being purchased. I've even got some complaints from you guys saying you've been tricked before and coming to me to try to find a real functional swamp cooler. So my goal with this video today is to save you guys the hassle and let you know about these before you purchase them. This swamp cooler right here says vintage swamp cooler, but in fact, it's not a Thermador swamp cooler. See the screen? And if you check the description, it says, not an exact reproduction, it is fiberglass, not metal, and it is not intended to replace an actual swamp cooler. It's basically just a canister. So, that's not a swamp cooler. If we check out these other swamp coolers, brand new car swamp cooler. If you look at it, it appears to just be a speaker screen, and it actually turns out that this is just a plastic box and a PVC tube. I've actually warned you about this guy's fake swamp coolers in a previous video.
All they do is transfer air from outside into your car, just the same as an open window.
And unfortunately, if we go down to the description, he says, you don't add water to them. Although some people modify them by creating a functioning evaporator cooler, you can also add ice.
Give me some ice in a styrofoam bucket.
By simply putting ice packs through the window.
False.
This is not a swamp cooler, and this will not function as a swamp cooler. The air is going through the swamp cooler so fast, it can't be cooled down by ice in the cooler. If you need to learn more about that, here's a video where I describe swamp coolers and how they function. Another swamp cooler available here on eBay, and this is a new one, is this guy right here. Now this says vintage swamp cooler, car accessory. And he's selling this for just as much as an actual vintage, Thermador swamp cooler.
Okay, so there's no defense for that.
I will only sell functional swamp coolers on my website. I do offer them without insides, but up front, they come functional. I did actually contact this person and see about wholesaling these on the website, but he kept claiming they would be fully functional and he did not deliver. So give me your opinions in the comments below, but I've spent the last almost a decade trying to make sure all the swamp coolers that I sell on my website are fully functional, full evaporative pad swamp coolers with recoils if possible, and to keep these prices as low as possible. And I kind of think that this is going to hurt the community. I guarantee a lot of people are going to buy these thinking these are going to work, and they're just not going to. In my experience, almost every year I get at least one, if not a few, communications from customers who have bought swamp coolers like this, specifically the previous plastic one, and they're expecting something and they're getting something different. So I'd save your money and feel free to send me any links to any swamp coolers you have any questions about. I'm happy to answer questions about your swamp coolers. If you guys have any swamp cooler questions, even questions about swamp coolers you already have, send me some pictures. I'll tell you what you've got, what you're looking at, you know, potentially what you should be paying for something. My goal here is to help the swamp cooler community, not take from it.
To make matters worse, some of these online groups at Facebook and Reddit have been ruined by overposting of these fake eBay listings. And even worse, any attempt to warn people about these will get your comment removed and your account one step towards being banned.
That you are so not. Oh, God.
And I genuinely almost bought one of these swamp coolers from a fake person who was using this fake swamp cooler photo to scam people online. So you have to be very careful.
So I thought it was important to warn you about these, warn you about the plastic ones, save your money. For less than these swamp coolers, you can get a brand new reproduction Thermador swamp cooler on vintageswampcoolers.com, guaranteed to be fully functional, guaranteed to be the exact copy, guaranteed to be what you want. If you have any questions about swamp coolers, feel free to shoot me an email. My link's going to be on the website. Happy to answer any questions, tell you what Thermador you've got. Happy to help you guys out.
Well, unfortunately, while editing this video, I found this. A video on YouTube of a customer who bought one of these fake swamp coolers and spends an entire video talking it up, and also lying to his viewers, saying that this guy's making functioning swamp coolers. I really feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle with these fake swamp coolers. Okay, as I promised, here it is, the absolute worst example of a real vintage swamp cooler I've ever seen. Looks pretty good from the top and front, but if you check out the bottom here, it looks terrible. I don't know what happened to this, whether someone shot it with a shotgun or whether they were doing a really cheap Bondo job and drilled a bunch of holes in it to try to pull this dent out. But it's pretty ruined. I've restored some really bad swamp coolers, as you can see in some of these previous videos on my channel. But this one takes the cake. I probably wouldn't want to do this one, but if I were to, I'd probably start by just re-skinning the body and then just using all the end caps and the interior and the vent duct and kind of starting from scratch. So unfortunately, this swamp cooler, once again, sold for more than the cost of a brand new like a Deluxo from vintageswampcoolers.com. So for whatever reason, I'm assuming someone just needed it for parts, but didn't look like there were a whole lot of good parts on that cooler, but you know, to each their own.
So if you want a flashy, non-functioning swamp cooler for more than the cost of a real swamp cooler, absolutely head on to eBay and check some of these swamp coolers out. If you want a real swamp cooler that works correctly, buy a vintage swamp cooler that's at least 50 years old off eBay, or make sure you're getting a swamp cooler from OOOhhh Fabrication. If you have any questions about swamp coolers, I'm happy to help. People send me pictures of swamp coolers asking what brand they are, what parts they need all the time. You can reach me through my website. The links are in the description down below. And I'd be happy to tell you what you're looking at, how much it's worth, and potentially whether what you're about to buy is maybe even a fake swamp cooler. Alright guys, well I hope that was helpful. If you did like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Check out some of these other cool swamp cooler videos, and maybe check out some of these other cool OOOhhh builds, and I'll catch you guys next time.